Hi, welcome to week 5. We're going to jump right in. I just have to find my slide. Give me oops. Here we go. Okay, so this week we're going to talk about creating closure slides, rubrics, exit tickets, and assessments. So you see I have some examples up there. So we're going to jump right in to closure slides. I like to have the one you see on the left, our new learning, up, just in case I get a pop-in observation. What did we learn? Why did we learn it? How will we use what we learned? Sometimes I call it closure if I'm getting observed. This year, actually, I had a pop-in and I happened to have a slide that said closure, and this kid yells out, "Closure? What's that?" I was like, oh my God, we never do closure. I was like, oh yes, no, we do it every day. We do exit tickets and things like that. But the observer didn't seem to notice. So, I mean, if you're going to call it closure all year long, or whatever you're going to call it, our new learning. So for foundations, I always have my objective slides, which if you click, you can see a sample of that. And then we do an exit ticket every day based on what they learned. Just like very quick, simple, lets me know, what they need help on. That's basically the purpose of exit tickets, are to tell teachers what you need to review, what they're not getting. Usually it's they're not marking it up for me for first graders, where they have to mark up like how the vowel is a long vowel, which syllable it is, things like that. So I have to remind them. Or they go ahead and they do it without listening to directions. So that happens a lot, and I'll put a little note on it. Please listen to directions. Like they would say that that's a rock instead of a cave, but if they had listened to me say cave, they would know it's a cave. But they just go ahead and write rock. So exit tickets, are just good tell for how your students are going to do on the final assessment. I'm going to see if I can minimize this to show you, though, how I do it. Okay, so I am showing you now just a typical foundations lesson. I have my SciUp objective slides right here. What we're doing, we're learning about vowel consonant E words, or long vowel words with silent E at the end. And then we go through. What the students do for these is I don't say the sound, they say it, and I listen. So it's kind of like an assessment that way, if they're saying it correctly. So we go through all of them. Let's go really quickly to show you. And then we get to trick word flashcards. So this is just a video I actually made in Canva. I post on YouTube, and then I insert the video into my slides, and it just saves me from holding up the cards, and I can hear if the students are saying it correctly. And I also usually make it faster for them because it's a little too slow. And I don't know, when I made it in Canva, I made it too slow. But they just say it, and I can hear if they're able to say the word correctly. They always mess up on were, which is right there, and then I have to pause it and go over it with them. But that's just a quick like oral assessment that I'm doing right there, listening. And then these are the cards right here. I say and then they say, because it's the new learning for the lesson. So we go through all of them, then we work on building words. So just there's the lesson, there's a little song there, there's some board work we do. I probably do that on their document camera with them. And then we have our closure. So here's just a sample of a closure slide. What did we learn? Why did we learn it? How will we use what we learned? They'll probably say for reading, for spelling, things like that. We learned about long vowels. We learned about silent E, things like that. And then they do an exit ticket. And so I wouldn't say circle the picture for plane. They have to actually read that. I just say the name of the pictures. I go plane, plan, plant. Read the word above, tell me what it says, and circle the answer that matches what it says. And then I would say that's a picture of a cave, spell cave, and mark it up. Then on the bottom, they have to self-evaluate. I need more help understanding. I need some help understanding. I think I understood and can apply what I learned today. I understand and can apply what I learned today. So this is just a typical phonics lesson. It probably is 30 minutes long, and every day ends in an exit ticket or the closure. And remember, you want to always do something like this. Keep it, if you want to do it when you're getting observed, you want to do it all the time, so they're not acting like they're surprised, like that little boy did at the beginning of the year with the math, because I just wasn't calling it closure at the beginning of the year. So I learned my lesson, so now we just call it closure. All right, there you go. So you can grab also a copy of this whole template if you want to try to use for yourself. And I have a copy of the exit ticket templates in your download handout. Okay, I'm just click, you can see this Google form assessment I made on measurement. So I had a whole unit I did in slides during COVID when everything was digital. And then I had said, click here and you can get a copy of the Google Forms. So I actually found a tutorial online, and I'm going to share the tutorial I found and used to create this. And I liked that I was able to add pictures to my form for them to answer the questions. So I also made you a little template with the size pictures, images. So when you click the handout, you can click there and you'll get the template link and you can try that. So I suggest like maybe now pausing, or maybe for the assignment pausing and then watching the tutorial video I have linked. It's not that long, on how to create your own Google Forms for assessments. So here, if you click here in the handout, you can get your own template for how to create these. And then you just download them as an image and you insert them into the Google form. And then just when you're sharing it, you'll watch the video because it's still tricky. If you're sharing with other people to use, you have to share it as a copy. And if you're just assigning to your students, it's fine. It'll collect the data. But just watch the video. Okay, so we can also talk about printable assessments. Printable would be like anything, like multiple choice test, true, false, any sort of thing like that. I have assessments that I do, like up to the left, if you look, on sight words. And then I have just a checklist. I have the physical words that I show them. I have the assessment sheet that I send home to parents to sign, things all included in just like one whole thing. And I've linked that if you want to look that one up too. I have it linked for you. And then I have foundations tests. So we used to take the foundations tests in a book, and then the parents were never sending the book back, which was annoying. So I just made a printable one of the test, and I say the word, like whatever, cat, and then they have to type it out and write it. And then I have a paper copy that can go home, and on the back it actually says, like, please sign and return. Here's a sample math test. Like, our math curriculum comes with tests, but sometimes they're a little too challenging or confusing, so we make our own sometimes. So there's one there that we made our own for. And actually, my colleague had made that. So I do a lot of like the language arts things, and my colleague, who's now since retired, she would do all the math assessments for us. So a good way to make your own assessments would be like to chop it up like that, like share. And I do share all of my first grade things that I create with many of my colleagues. Just ask if you teach first grade, and I'll add you to my share folder. So you're not reinventing the wheel. Chances are someone else has already made it. So just like if you want to make this, say, hey, can you make that for me? I mean, we can all share, like create a little first grade or whatever grade you are, share folder, and everyone can edit and add to it. Okay, so now we're going into exit tickets, self-evaluations. Exit tickets are great. They're super easy to just like quickly look over to see how the students are doing. There's one for letter writing. I just had them. It's kind of more of like a self-evaluation exit ticket where they check if they have the date, a greeting, a body with details, closing, a signature, my name, and then how they did on the lesson. And then there's a reading one on the right, which I've shared before, where they just touch and self-evaluate how they were doing. So, and then the phonics one that I showed you a while ago, that one would be something I would collect and correct. This one I would also collect, but I'll just glance at. So you can create, you're going to get the template. You can create your own, just something very simple like this, like just 2 examples for them to do. And then the self-evaluation, I think, is really good to have at the bottom for if you're getting a pop-in or you're getting observed, and just to keep it up all year long so they're not acting like they've never seen it before. Rubrics and informal assessment. So you can have like a nice big rubric. I know the upper grades definitely do a lot of rubrics for writing, where are they getting a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1? And then when I did teach math, when we had Eureka squared math, there was rubrics for actually grading the tests, which was kind of confusing, but I liked it because it explained how the grading took place, and I had the standards right there. And then I just would copy and paste it onto like a sheet that went on front of the test to explain if they're proficient, highly proficient, partially proficient, and have them sign it. And the parents would see right there. On the right, I have just very informal record sheet for my letter writing unit. I write their name, the date, and then I just check, how they're doing in the genre, if they're focusing on their letter, if they know the parts of the letter, the grammar. I put, they're using proper punctuation, capitalization, spelling. Usually it's not capitalization and punctuation. Usually spelling's not that bad, but those two, no. And then a little bit of notes. So it's very simple this week. So think about, what do you want to focus on? Do you want to create a digital Google form assessment? Do something that you really would use with your own students. Do you want to create exit tickets, like this or like this? Do you want to create a real test, a real assessment to go with whatever unit you're doing? Or do you just need a rubric, something like this? So for this week, you're going to focus on what you've already created, and you're going to add on to it by adding an assessment. So hopefully by the end of this, we'll have like a whole unit done, everyone will. And you're going to add the PDF to the share folder. Remember, if you want to add a Google form, you can just add the link to the PDF. If you make it in Canva, it'll hold the link there. And maybe just like insert a little computer and write Google form, click here. And then you'll find, have the link there. And then again, how to label it and provide positive feedback, suggestions in the Google Classroom about each other's resources in the comment section. Maybe say like why you picked a Google form, or why you picked to make an exit ticket, or why you picked to make a rubric. Just explain that there. So very simple, and I have the videos for you, and I will see you again next week.